In this first video, we will rationalize the denominators that contain just one term. And we know the procedure. In order to rationalize the denominator that contains just one term, we need to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by these radicals. So we're multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by radical 5. So in the numerator, the coefficient stays the same, and then we utilize the rule, the product of two radicals, and radical 2 multiplied by radical 5 is just radical 10. And radical 5 multiplied by radical 5 is just 5, and this is our final answer for this problem. In our second problem, the expression under the radical sign in the numerator is a composite number. So before rationalizing the denominator, we need to simplify this radical. And we know this from the previous lectures that 50 can be broken up into two factors, one of which will be a perfect square number, 25, another is a prime. So we keep the numerator unchanged. 25 comes out as 5, and 2 stays there. And now, in order to rationalize the denominator, we are multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by radical 2. So this is our arrangement. And in the numerator, 2, and radical 3 multiplied by radical 3 is radical 6. And in the numerator, first, radical 2 multiplied by radical 2 is just 2. And 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. And if we look carefully now, we can simplify both the numerator and the denominator, dividing them by 2. So the final answer is radical 6 over 5. In our next example, we can separate, using the quotient rule for radicals, we can separate the numerator and the denominator and place them under different separate radical signs. Then what we do as the next step, we will simplify the denominator, simplify the radical first. So what we have here now, radical 6, and square root of 4 is 2, radical 3. And now we need to multiply both the numerator and the denominator by radical 3. What we will have here is 9 radical 6. And in the denominator, radical 3 by radical 3 is just 3. And 3 multiplied by 2 is 6. Next, 9 is a perfect square number, so we can take out the square root of 9, which is 3. But 6 still stays under the radical sign. And finally, we can simplify. And the final answer is radical 6 over 2. Lastly, in our next example, we will do the same routine as we did in the previous example. I'm sorry, we need to separate and place the numerator and the denominator under separate radical signs. We will keep our numerator unchanged, and we will simplify 128 as 64 multiplied by 2, perfect square and a prime, and that will let us to extract the square root of 64, which is 8, but square root of 2 is still there. Now we can simplify or rationalize the denominator by multiplying both the numerator and the denominator by radical 2. What we will have as the result in our denominator is 14x under the radical sign. And in our denominator, we will have radical 2 multiplied by radical 2 is just 2, and 2 multiplied by 8 is 16. And this is our final answer in this last problem.